right, let's call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good evening. Welcome to the June 8th regular board meeting for the Windham School District. We are going to start with the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 4, we're going to do the acceptance of the donations. For the elementary backpack program, we have $55 from Bethany Lutheran Church. We have $170 from Hy-Vee Windham for the Spanish 2 class trip to Plaza Jalisco. We have $25 from Brent and Holly Anderson for the Spanish 2 class trip to Plaza Jalisco. We have $25 from Tony and Terry Scott for the Spanish 2 class trip to Plaza Jalisco. We have $459 from the Robert and Helen Remick Foundation for Soaring Eagles Child Care Licensure classes. And we have $5,000 from Southwest Initiative Foundation for the Soaring Eagles Child Care Center remodel. For the trap team, we have $500 from the Lions Club of Windham. And we have $1,500 from Des Moines Valley Chapter Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. For FFA, we have $100 from the Shorts Farm, $350 from Ag Builders, $350 from Dirksen Electric, $350 from GDF Enterprises, $1,680 from the Windham AG Advisory and FFA Foundation. For the baseball, we have $50 from Roman Bauer, $50 from Kay Gross, $50 from Trevor Sleddy, $470 from Clay and Jennifer Wallinga, $25 from Vicki Rasmussen, $50 from Shell Grunwald, $50 from Ann Pung, and $50 from Mary Lou and Clay Wallinga. Another great list tonight. This is amazing. I want to thank everybody for their donations and supporting our kids in all of these different activities. Can I get a motion to approve these donations, please?
Many thanks. I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 5, open forum. Do we have anybody for open forum?
No one for open forum.
All right. Number 6 is the approval of the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, we have some retirees that we're going to honor tonight. Is there just the one out there? Brenda, are you the lone person? All right, Brenda, come on up. We have Brenda from our food service. She's worked for us for 10 years, taking care of all those kids and making sure they got good meals. So I'm just going to come around and our other 2 retirees was Bonnie Vandehoof. She has worked in our food service department for 27 years. And Susan Rempel, who is a paraprofessional, and she's worked for the district for 5 years. So thank you, ladies, for all of your hard work over the years, and enjoy your well-deserved retirement. All right, number 8, we have a QComp presentation from Betsy Harwood.
All right, so QComp. Okay, perfect, thank you. So we can continue to have many opportunities through ISC 177 to take on leadership roles. Some of the roles are listed there. We have committee members, we have PLC leaders, mentor teachers, and instructional coaches, and peer engagement coaches. And then this is what we do. We follow the Charlotte Danielson framework. We continue with PLCs 60 minutes a week, where we collaborate with each other and through grade level or department collaboration on what we are doing, teaching, and making sure those learning targets and standards are met. And then we use also within PLC researching the different instructional strategies to better inform our students and teach them. The next one is our teacher evaluation. So this is changing a little bit for next year. For this year, what we followed was tenured staff had one observation with an administrator, including a pre and post meeting if it was their summative year. Probationary staff continued to have the 3 observations with administrators, including the pre and post meeting. Staff were given the opportunity for 1 replacement observation. Then with peer engagement coaches, worked with every teacher to help improve their practices, and the instructional coach did 1 observation with every teacher, including the pre and post. So that's what we did this school year. Next school year, we are changing it just a little bit. Tenured teachers will be observed, evaluated, or coached at least 1 time per year. During their summative years, that will still be done by the administration. Non-summative years, the instructional support staff, so the instructional coach or the peer engagement coach or the peer engagement coach will conduct at least 1 coaching session for 1 non-summative year, and a peer or instructional support staff will conduct the coaching session on the other non-summative year. For tenured teachers, will receive a summative evaluation at least once every 3 years. And teachers on the administration's first round of the observation cycle each year will complete the summative evaluation process. So that's changing just a little bit this next school year. Really the big change of it is within the 3rd year, they can choose to have a peer-to-peer observation or choose to have the instructional coach or peer engagement coach come and watch them teach. For probationary teachers, it's pretty much the same as before. 3 observations by the building administrators, and then at least 1 coaching session as well. The next slide is the bonus pay or performance pay and bonus pay schedule breakdown. This did not change from previous years, so this is the same that's been previously. Then we get into our goal data. So as QComp, we set a 3-year goal for the district star math goal. This year we did not meet our goal. We were at 77% and we want to get it to 78%. For the elementary star math, we did not meet this goal either. Our goal was 81% and we got to 78%. Middle school math did meet the goal. Our goal was 75% and we got to 75.9%. And then high school did not. The goal was 80% and we were at 78.2. And then Bridges did meet the goal at 81%. Then going on to reading, our district reading goal again was a 3-year goal. We wanted to get to 77%. We did not meet that. We got to 74.4. The next one was elementary reading. We wanted to get to 78.9 and we met that goal by exceeding 79.2. Middle school reading did not meet. Our goal was 73.7 and we got to 72%. High school did not meet either. Our goal was 75.5 and they got to 72.2. And the last one is Bridges. They met their goal of 84%. For summer hours this year, staff will be given 18 hours to focus on revising curriculum maps, understanding the standards, preparing engaging curriculum, adjusting lesson plans, learning targets, assessments, etc. New teachers will have additional hours for new teacher boot camp, which is July 22nd and August 20th. And that's all I have. Sorry, that was a lot of information really fast.
You did just fine. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Well, thank you for all
Thank
your
you.
work. All right. Next, we're going to go through some administrative reports. You guys are mixing it up on me. I guess Mr. Joyce with the high school report is up first.
Yes, I just wanted to get the scoop on everybody for once and go first. No, I appreciate we have a baseball game tonight, so I'm going to get up to that. So if everybody's okay, I'm going to go out into the hot after enjoying this air conditioning. All right. Good evening, everybody. It was a fantastic school year. Honestly, we're in June now, and it feels like we've been in summer for a couple of weeks. But it was a great school year, and we graduated 84 seniors. We had one student that was affiliated with our high school at the end that did not make it. I was hoping it was going to be 85, but we had 84 of kids that we track either through the ALC, ELC, or Windham Area High School that made it out of our possible of 85 that we would track. So I feel like that 98% rate is pretty darn good. So I don't know what rate the state will come up with when they come up with their data. We shake our heads. But of the students we know of, it was a 98% rate. So we're pretty happy about that. It was a great ceremony, so thank you to all your support at the board level for that. Just to start with, too, and I know others might be mentioning this, but we had a great showing at state track last week with a fourth place finisher, Theora Anapakana, and then a boys 4x8 team that did really well. So we're going to celebrate them tomorrow night, little pep fest in the nest, thankfully, because, again, it's going to be another hot night, so we'll appreciate the air conditioning. But we're going to celebrate them along with our boys baseball team, which is going to be playing in the state tournament this Thursday, Friday, and hopefully Monday. So we're very excited, and congratulations to all the activity participants, but also their coaches for all the work they put in to support those young athletes. It's been a great spring. I have a little bit of data to end the year with. We have our attendance data. This information we share with the state as part of our attendance pilot. Holly, if you wouldn't mind clicking on the 25-26 school year. This is data we pull at all three levels here. So across the district, we had an 87% positive attendance rate. And what that means is students who are not chronically absent. Over 10% means you're chronically absent, not truant, but chronically absent. So 87% of Windham students are present. Okay, that's a good thing. We did have 12% fall in that 10 to 29%. I know we have a lot more closer to that 10 than we do the 29, just so we know. But the state considers anything less than 10% or less than 90% to be chronically absent. We had 3 students fall in that 30 to 49% category, and then 1 student fall into that 50% plus. Still not reporting any highly mobile or homeless percentage. Holly, if you would just really quickly click on the 23-24 tab. This is the first year we collected data, and this is prior to us having our attendance pilot and having Craig Taylor coordinate attendance. So just for comparison's sake, 81% was our attendance rate that year. So in both years, we've seen a climb, and we're kind of steady in that 87% range now, which is a good thing. But we still want to make, I'd love to see us at the 90 to 95% range in that category. That's where I think all of us would agree we'd like to see our attendance, because when the students are in the seats, it's a higher correlation to better academic data too. So this is getting sent off to the state, though, just for informational sake. I think it's good data to have. So, and then the next piece of data, Holly, if you could click on the back in the agenda, we've got just our academic data for the year. And I always find this really fascinating. We'll start with our seniors that just graduated. So this will be the last time we report out on that data. I think the biggest win we have here, look at the spring of 22-23 tardies, 713. And this senior year, spring, 68. Okay, so we look at our attendance data from overall attendance, but I also report out our tardy data. That's huge. Okay, that's massive improvement. The attendance rate, which we pulled, was a little bit lower. And that's a big piece of seniors that were not coming to school at the end of the year, so that's what that data showed. We had a very high rate in the fall. That dropped off a little bit in the spring for any number of reasons. But academically speaking, you can see averages in the A's, B's, and C's. That's 46% of students average a GPA that's in the A category, 47% a B, 7% a C, and nobody averaged a D, nobody averaged an F. Not that any Fs or Ds weren't given, it's just that that's not where their average is. Their GPA is not there. So If you want to click on 2027, the juniors, so next year's seniors, a higher attendance rate than seniors, but still 81 tardies. That's very, very good. Okay. 28% in that A range, and that's been a very steady since, and we used a different number. In 23-24, when you were using Skyward, I wasn't pulling the data correctly. So when you say, geez, how come half of them aren't getting the A average? I don't think that was an average back in that year, okay? That was 50% of students receiving any A's, not an A average. So just be mindful of that. So the data we have from Infinite Campus is more accurate. So they've hovered in that 28% range. B range is 49%, and then C 23%, and then nobody averaging a D or an F. So that's a very good thing. That means we're on track academically. Sophomores are the class of 28. A little bit higher attendance rate. Tardies, again, are about the same rate. And they've hovered in that 29% range, and then they bumped up their Bs a little bit to 50%. So we were happy to see that. C's at 16, and then their D's have fell to the lowest level, and then still nobody averaging an F. And this is real data. If anybody was averaging very lower than that, we'd be having conversations about whether they need to be referred to the ALC and things like that, because maybe they're not on track for graduation. But we don't have too many students in that category right now, so we're happy about that. Freshmen, they're the class of 2029. Tardies, and this is our largest class. They're about 103 kids, I believe, or 107. I can't remember what the exact number is, but it's a lot of students, okay? 81.73 attendance. A rate is 12%. Their B rate is 57%. So they're a bit more in the BC category. Still only 2% averaging a D, and then nobody averaging an F. So for the most part, the freshman class is on track. If they're not on track because they failed any academic courses for a semester, they're doing summer credit recovery or making plans to make that credit up next year. Or if they can't graduate on time, then we're having conversations about the Alternative Learning Center if that's what they need to be doing. So overall, I think very positive, especially as I look at the tardies. That was our biggest gain this year in year 2 of Craig working through the attendance. Mr. Taylor, that's been huge. So any questions on the academic or attendance data at all before we move on?
Just a quick one on that. Kudos to all our seniors there. A person brought it up to me about how many were in the academically, the highest and all that. About, was it a higher percentage than normal as far as graduating with a high level?
Yeah, both National Honor Society and then students with highest honors and just with honors, we had higher numbers than we've had percentage-wise. Last year's class was a larger class overall, but I think we had more students in this class that fell into that category. So there was a large group of students who really tried to push themselves academically. So we're happy for that. That's what we want to see. Yeah, Mr. Taylor's doing a great job. I know working with Sonia and just everybody in the building. But it really boils down to, too, our teachers making sure that students realize how important it is that they're in the seat learning, and that's the most important thing we can do is, as a staff, communicate. And our teachers did a great job of doing, more positive phone calls homes and things like that. And that does have a huge impact on increasing a positive attendance rate. So we're just going to keep working on that. Yeah. Okay, I think the next piece I have is just a hiring update. We have had some positive development in the CEO facilitator category, so we're hoping that we've got that hopefully shored away. So we're excited about that. So we don't believe we're looking anymore. We are still looking for a middle school, high school art position. So we'll be actively, hopefully, hiring somebody soon on that front. So. Summer office hours are going to begin next Monday in the middle and high school office. We go 8 to 12 Monday through Thursday. Days like Juneteenth and things like that are obviously, that happens to fall on a Friday this year, but days like that are closed. But, there'll be a week where we're closed around the 4th of July when they're cleaning. Otherwise, 8 to 12 Monday through Thursday is typically when that office will be open. I'm going to be attending the Minnesota Association of Secondary School Principals Conference next week, so that'll be Sunday night. I'm hopefully not going Sunday night or Monday because I'm doing something else that day down in downtown Minneapolis. But we'll see. Otherwise, I'll be up at the summer conference, and I'm just very gracious for the board's support and Ms. Frank's support as I've now ended my 2-year term as the president of our Southwest Division. So now I start a 2-year term on our executive board with the state, and I actually I sit on kind of not a board of directors, but an advisory council of principals for the Minnesota State High School League through that as well. So I appreciate those opportunities to to grow and learn and network with other principals across the state. It's very, very, very helpful. I can say that. So, and then just I want to close with marching band. They're going to be performing in 3 parades this year. We've got Riverfest, and then the powwow and Wood Duck Days in Fulda. So it's going to be a busy 10 days or 8 days maybe. It's only 8 days, but it's going to be a busy one. But Ms. Pullman is doing a great job, and they're really excited to perform. So, any questions?
We played in torrential rain last year.
Yes. We hope for good weather this year, but it was still awesome that they did that. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun at the game. All right, next up we have Mr. Barfnick with the preschool elementary report.
All right, thank you. Hey, I'm going to start this off with good news and bad news. The bad news is I see right away I have a typo on there, so I'm sorry for that. The elementary asked staff to embrace the theme "Might as well be me" this year. It says "Might as well be B," which doesn't really make sense, but in everything that we did, I just said, you know what? If something needs to be done, who should do it? And I asked any staff member to say, you know what? It might as well be me. If a student needs to be redirected, if a piece of garbage needs to be cleaned up, who's going to do it? Anybody can do that. It was awesome. Staff fully embraced it at both Bridges and the elementary. They embraced it, and we had a great year. Everybody stepping up to help kids, help each other, help the buildings. It was great, so I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody for that. Then we get into a little bit of the downside of things. At the elementary, we ended the year with a little over 400 negative office referrals. We do positive office referrals at the elementary too. This was quite a leap from last year. This was considerably more than we had last year. Places that this happen is recess, morning and noon recess, few classroom ones, cafeteria, and then just other areas in the school, hallways and stuff like that. Most of the time it's when there's less structure, less supervision, the kids get a little bit of freedom, and then they make choices that they just need to, they're still learning how to make better choices. So that's kind of what happened there. I did want to point out that these referrals do include 128 students, but that means that 74% of our students didn't earn a single negative office referral. 74% of our kids were having expected behaviors. Also, I need to point out that 52 students only had 1 office referral throughout the whole school year, and that's also a pretty significant number. I didn't get the data. There is data out there. I can tell you how many students had between, say, 2 and 3. Really, this amounts to actually a small number of students who are still just learning some expectations. So, but I did want to share that with you. I have to be real about that data. Some things that we plan to keep or change to help students learn our expectations. We are working on having more active supervision and training our supervisors more about what to look for and how to respond to certain situations. We are going to have SEL reminders in our announcements. We're going to keep our dojo points. I've talked about those before. Students earn points for following expectations, and then they can cash those in to do things. We have a number of therapy dogs they can spend time with. They can be first in line for lunch. They can style my hair or my beard. They can do a lot of different things with those points just for doing their job. So we're going to keep doing that. And of course, we're going to keep PBIS, keep recognizing the positive behaviors. We do know from research that recognizing positive behaviors helps students to make better choices than punishing negative ones. So we just keep recognizing all the good things that they're doing, and kids want to keep doing more good things. So we'll keep doing that. I did, on the opposite side of this, celebrate 206 students demonstrating positive expected behaviors with positive office referrals. So hopefully you've seen some of our posts on Facebook and stuff like that. I always try to take pictures with those kids and really get their faces out there because they're doing awesome. And if they got a positive office referral, it means they really went above and beyond. They're helping their teacher, they're helping their classmates. They're just doing something extra that really got them noticed. So 206 kids doing that is really awesome. And most of those are actually individual students. We have a few students that have gotten more than 1 positive office referral, but most of those are 206 individual students. This one, just as I was looking through some data, our district demographics are changing. Windermere Elementary had a free and reduced lunch rate of 58% this year. Last year we were at 54%. So that's just something that is interesting for our demographics. About 24% of our students are now English language learners. Last year we started with around 20%. We're just seeing more diverse home languages moving into, including Palauan and Karen. And there's also a number of languages that only one or two students in our entire school speak. They're just different dialects that they're the only people that speak that. 30% of our students have a special education label. Last year we ended up with about 24. This does include students with just minimal additional supports, 504 plans, or just very minimal, but they have that flag on their thing. I wanted to point out, though, when I'm talking about these, that none of these are negative things. They do represent different challenges that our staff is working to address. We are always working on closing our achievement gaps between students without these labels and the students with these labels. And the reason I brought this up is because it does get to be more of a challenge to close the gap when the number of students keeps changing. When this number keeps growing, it's harder to close the gap because we're working with a bigger population of students that we're trying to move. So, we do want to note that many students did move to our school throughout the school year with these labels. The students that were currently with us, we didn't like add new labels to kids. We just had, which is a good problem. We're still a growing district. We had a lot of students move in, and we're just working through how to help these students in the best way we possibly can. In other news, Bridges teachers implemented the Frog Street curriculum this year. It's an all-inclusive curriculum. They get some reading, writing, math, science, social emotional learning. Students really enjoyed it. The staff liked it. They liked the updated feel of their lessons. They had their old curriculum for quite a while. I think our students are going to be well prepared for kindergarten. It's awesome going up there and seeing the things that they do and the deep thinking that they're doing at Bridges. Also, our Bridges 4s participated in a promotion program and signing day to be an Eagle, so that was exciting. I got to make it only to one of those, but it's a cute little program, and they're ready to come on over to the elementary. Elementary teachers, of course, implemented CKLA this year. It's Core Knowledge Language Arts. Students reported enjoying the themes and the stories. The staff felt like it was more engaging than expected. When they looked through it, it seemed kind of teacher heavy, but they ended up finding out that it was more engaging for the students. The students really liked the topics in there. Students were using all the modalities of language. They were reading, writing, listening, and speaking in every lesson, which is a great way to learn literacy. Students were writing daily, and I get from specials teachers, like if in art class, if Mrs. Roberts would say, you know what, write a paragraph about what your art is, or write a paragraph about what this vocabulary means. She said in the past, students would be like, oh, I have to write, it hurts my hand, as kids do. But she said this year, kids were like, oh, cool, I'm gonna write a paragraph. Can I write 2 paragraphs? Like, they were super excited. The writing wasn't overwhelming because they'd had so much practice with it, and that is also a huge part of growing our literacy, so that's very good. And of course, the data that we just heard earlier shows that the curriculum was good. We were a little nervous. It's tough in the first year of a new curriculum. You never know what's going to happen. There may be gaps. There may be things that you miss because you're starting, especially our 4th graders. They're starting on year 1 of this program, assuming that they already know this other stuff that they may or may not know because they didn't have it in that curriculum. And those teachers, all of our teachers, did a good job of recognizing areas that we could still work on, and they filled in the holes and did great. Things that are coming up for me, June is just finalizing a lot of business and reports, so that's what I'm doing this month. We do have a committee looking at a math curriculum because the state has new math standards that need to be fully implemented starting next year. And so we have met 3 times already, and we've met with a couple of vendors. We've created a scoring rubric, and we've started evaluating a few math materials to see if there's something that would work for Windham area students. We hope to pilot potential curriculums in the late fall or winter and maybe bring you a proposition for a potential curriculum as early as spring. Other information with your hiring of Martha Coughlin. We're fully staffed at the elementary and Bridges for next year, so that feels really good. And I wanted to share that we had 2 part-time Reading Corps members this year. Reading Corps meets with bubble kids. They are too high to be in our intervention classes, so they're just under the meeting category, but they aren't low enough to need big intervention. So they go to Reading Corps, and that just helps them. You know, they meet for about 20 minutes a couple times a week. We had 16 students make enough growth to exit the program through Reading Corps, so that was exciting. Got them back on track for successful future. Even more exciting, next year we get to add in Math Corps. We were accepted for that, so we have a Math Corps member to do the same thing for our math students who are really close. They just needed a little bit of extra help, so we'll be getting a Math Corps member next year. That was a lot of stuff too. You have any questions for me?
Just quickly, did you get dojo points for allowing hair and beard work?
You know what? To be honest with you, it is a reward. When last year I had a lot of kids style my hair, and man, there was one guy who had this colored hair gel, and I just came out with like a helmet, and I had to wear that all day, and it was just its own reward.
I'm afraid we're going to have to see proof of this.
Right,
So
yeah.
we expect some pictures next time. You
Yeah,
don't have
yeah.
to share it publicly, but you know,
And
after
maybe a
board
little
meetings.
competition. You
That'd
know,
be great,
Who does it
so.
the best? Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Barfnick. All right, next up, Mr. Nielsen with the middle school report.
Hey, good evening. Thank you. In the middle school report, you can kind of see it was a great year at the middle school. A little bit of a snapshot there, just some numbers. I'm going to reiterate, our student population is definitely changing. It is becoming more diverse, bringing great opportunities to our school and also some challenges that we continue to work through, but we're definitely committed. Our staff, everybody in Windham is definitely committed to these students wherever they come from. If they've been with us forever or if they're brand new to the district, we want to help them with their academics and everything else that they need in order to succeed, whether it's them or their families. Our academic achievement, a little bit in that QComp report, you could see middle school math did a great job of meeting their goal. Our reading was extremely close. Kind of been holding steady now. We really made a big jump a couple years ago in our academics. It was about 2 years ago we really brought scores up, math and reading. Now we're kind of right in that area of holding steady with them, but continuing to try to creep up just a little bit. And that's, in order to do that, it's going to be through some of the initiatives, things that we're looking at, things that we're doing, continuing to make data-driven decisions, everything else. Statewide assessment results, those are going to come out. Some of that stuff was brand new as far as MCAs and new testing, everything else. We're hoping to see that stuff grow a little bit, but that's going to guide some of our instruction and some of the stuff that we do as well. The one thing that we're finding out, and as we look at data too, is that a significant number of our students enter Windham area schools that are new with some interrupted education. There was quite a bit of that in the middle school this year, more than normal, I would say. Whether it's that limited English proficiency, just some skill gaps and things like that. We definitely come up with the interventions, the things that those students need, the EL supports, everything that they need in order to get to where they need to be to have that success and find that success. But the one thing that we do notice is that students that have been with us in the elementary, preschool, that are coming all the way through and they've been in Windham are extremely successful. When we talk about some of those gaps and closing the gap, if students are with us, we could close that gap, I can guarantee it. If they are with us, stay with us, don't bounce around, we do a tremendous job here. That's what the data is telling us. Okay. Some of those student support systems, I'm not going to read through all of those. We've been through those each year, but just a reminder of our staff and what they do, and they work really hard. ADSYS Academics, we have the ADSYS grant. In the high school, they had some reading intervention, some math intervention. In the elementary and middle school, we utilize that for behavioral interventions. Travis Jansen and his team, they do a great job with helping with that. Our school counseling services are amazing in the middle school. Leah Level does great. Social emotional learning supports, everywhere from Kylie Nielsen to Melissa Pletcher, to Amanda. There's just tons of help. Attendance interventions. Craig really focused on the high school this year. I tried to step it up in the middle school so he could really focus in the high school. As you can see in the middle school, our numbers are pretty good for the most part in the middle school when it comes to attendance. You know, it's easier with those older kids to jump in their car and maybe snow, I don't know, or not come. It's not. It's good, but for the most part, so we really let Craig focus on the high school, and I tried to really make sure in the middle school we were doing a great job, and our students, our families, for the most part, get there. One thing I would like to improve, and I will be honest, the students that tend to miss the most school are our minority students. It's just simple fact and truth that it's our minority students, so continuing to work with them, communicate with them. I can't thank Antonio enough, too, for his help. I can bring him in just about any time so I can make a phone call if he has to translate anything. It's wonderful to have him there. I really appreciate him and what he's done in our community. Our students in middle school have awesome opportunities, whether it's with athletics, the band and music programs, of course. Excited. It was, I'm gonna just say it right now, it was tough to lose Irene Swanson to Worthington. I get it. She has some very, very close friends there. Okay, but we got a real winner here. I tell you what. The U of M grad that we just hired is going to step in and do amazing things there and continue with the band and music program that we have, and our fine arts is just incredible in Wyndham, and that'll continue. Courage Retreat, of course, we're going to host that again next year. We talked about our 7th grade had that capital trip and experience. Math Masters, there's so many great things that middle school students can do. The biggest thing in the middle school that shines all the time is our staff. We have great staff in the middle school, as I've said. I've talked about a few, but that's our greatest strength. We continue to work with that strong collaboration, meeting with our PLCs, focus on instructional best practices, going through that consistently. And then we have a lot of people behind the scenes, too, that help with that. You know, they talked about instructional coaches, peer engagement coaches. Ashley Schmidt, amazing job with everything that she does, too, helping staff to have strong instructional practices. But as we reflect on the school year, you know, there's several trends that'll shape our work, and that's that student diversity increasing. We want to continue strong academic readiness, that student mental health and the behavior. We're going to continue being strong there. I will say, I don't have the numbers. I'm sorry I didn't do that, but I did look. Our middle school office referrals were so low compared to previous years. It was extremely, extremely low compared to previous years. However, my out-of-school suspensions and in-school suspensions were up just a little bit. Okay. But overall, office referrals were way down.
You're getting tougher, aren't you?
I might be. That could be a little bit of the case. I don't know. But no, but I just want to thank everyone for a great middle school year. It was incredible. Our staff does an amazing job. Our community is very supportive. We're very dedicated community. Staff and everywhere, families, school board members that are extremely supportive to us. That makes a big difference when we have that support from you on things, and even if it means giving someone in school suspension, you know, okay, because they were naughty, whatever it might be. So, but thanks for the continued support. It was a great middle school year, so happy to answer any questions about it.
I'll just say for all of you guys there, and Brian too, but just thank you guys for leaning in with the diversity that's being brought here in special education services, and you guys seem to lean in and have a good attitude about it, not just throwing our hands up and I don't know what we're going to do. So thank you guys for leaning in on that. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's good.
So.
We want kids here, and we're all in the business of helping kids. We don't care what it looks like, who it is. Just get to school and be with us, and great things are going to happen.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, our special education report. Ms. Wilson.
All right, my report is going to be short and sweet. So one of the big goals that I had for this year was putting together a para evaluation system because that's something we just haven't had before, and it would be really, really helpful to have one of those. So I'm really excited that the last week, like it was my goal for the year, I have to get a para evaluation system, and the last week of school I got it done. So sometimes I procrastinate a bit, but we have that, and over the summer, it's been looked at by our admin team. Over the summer, we're going to go through the processes for how we can get this, all of the approvals that are needed, and are planning on having it in place starting next year so that we've got that system up and running like we need it to be. The next thing I talk about in my report is data. And it's hard to talk about data when it comes to evaluating our special education programs. Our traditional metrics are not always great measures for our kids who receive these services. If we're looking at academic achievement scores and how we're doing on STAR and in the grade book and things like that, some of our special education students achieve significantly lower than other students in their grade level on those because that's what their disability is affecting. When we talk about office discipline referrals and some of those behavioral types of things, one of our eligibility categories is emotional and behavioral disorders. That can affect your school attendance. It can affect how often you get to visit with our staff in the office. So some of those more traditional things that we look at don't always adequately reflect what we needed to for this very specific subset of students. So instead, what I pulled for us to look at tonight is our progress report data. Something that goes on in special education is that every quarter when grade reports go home, parents also get progress reports showing how their student is doing with making progress towards the specific goals that were set for them by their IEP team and that our service providers have been working with them on over the course of the past quarter. Our team worked on 1,289 different unique skills with students this year, and did progress reports 4 times for each of those. So a lot of trees went into this in addition to all of the effort that they put in with tracking this progress and working on building skills. And what winds up happening is that each goal has these different objectives underneath of these are the benchmarks we're going to be looking at for showing that you're on track for meeting your goal or you're not. And the purpose is we want you to be at goal met by the time your meeting comes up, because we have a meeting at least once a year for students. So our case managers are able to say somebody's met their goal, like they just, all of the different data points are there showing they have done exactly what the team wanted to see them do. They can say that the student is making adequate progress, where if we continue on the track that we are on with the progress that we're seeing, that student's going to have the goal met by the time the IEP team gets together. Or they can say that a student's not making sufficient progress. So if we continue what's going on, that student's not going to master that goal. So we have to look at, what are we going to be adjusting and tweaking here, because we need you to get to that goal so that we can keep moving forward with things. 95% of our progress reports were either goal met or adequate progress, which is an incredibly high percentage. And so I'm very, very proud of our team for that. And just wanted to share that little bit of data with you from the special education world. Looking ahead, Catherine Ralston is our current Director of Special Education Services from SWWC. Her last day is going to be June 18th. And she and I are continuing to work on the transition to me taking over that role for the district. I'm very, very grateful for all that she has done for Windham Schools. Before she was the director coming from the co-op, she was our SEAT evaluation coordinator. She was a special education teacher here for many years. So she's been with Windham Schools, I believe, for almost 15 years now. And she'll be moving on to Worthington next year. So she and I will continue to work together until her last day. As building and student schedules are finalized for the upcoming year, we're working on staffing to make sure we've got the right adult support where we need it. We are getting students enrolling for next year already, so we're going through those IEPs to make sure that we have everything prepared that we're going to need to on the first day of school. And I said next week, this is actually going to be tomorrow. I wrote this last week. So tomorrow we're going to start MTSS training with our admin team and instructional coaches and literacy lead, and looking forward to see what we learn from that and how we can bring that information back to keep refining our systems and moving forward. Are there any questions for me?
All right. Thank you very much. All right, next up, our superintendent report, Mrs. Frank.
Good evening, board members. Before I start my report, I just want to say thank you to the students and staff for making the 25-26 school year fantastic. It was such a great year of growth and learning. And I think we've all said that all throughout our reports, but it really was just a fantastic year. So thank you for all of our students, staff, and families for making it such. All right, enrollment. The last day of school enrollment came in at 1,129 K-12 students. The chart is included in your packet so that you can do the year-to-year comparison, month-to-month comparison. But what you really need to know is that our enrollment remains steady. It's exactly the same as it was last year at this time. The last thing I want to talk about in my report tonight is the permanent school fund. You're going to be hearing more and more about this as we approach the election. This is a statewide conversation. So back in 1858, when the state was established, a trust was formed using land and natural resource revenues such as mining, land leases, and timber harvesting, and they specifically set this aside to support public education. Today, that trust is valued at $2.3 billion, and only the interest and dividend earnings are paid out each year under the Minnesota Constitution. Windham area schools received $89,000, almost $90,000 this fiscal year from the Permanent School Trust Fund. So the change is that they are looking to change the way that the earnings are paid out. So changing it from being paid out only through the dividends and interest to using a percent of market value, which would be calculated over 3 years. This is going to require a change to the Minnesota Constitution and will be on the ballot throughout the state in November. So you're going to be hearing a lot about this going forward. This started coming about after the legislative session ended this spring, where this decision was made. So they can't actually put this into action unless the voters approve it in November. Okay, so the additional revenue is estimated at an additional $30 per student per earning. Okay, so for Windham, this equates to $35,610 in revenue for each of the 2 earning periods, for a total of an additional $71,220 per fiscal year, with 0 impact to the taxpayer. So as this comes about this fall, just remind people, this is not going to go on your property taxes. It's not going to go on the levy. It's just going to pull out of this trust fund, no additional cost to the voters. So that is coming your way. There's also a handout included in the board packet with more details from MSBA on this. Okay, and lastly, I just want to echo the congratulations to our track team. So congratulations to Isaac, Braylon, Bryce, Kaylin, and Theora for performing at the state track meet last week. Great job, everybody. And congratulations to the baseball team, who are the section champions and who will be headed to the state tournament on Thursday.
All right, thank you. Is there any Board of Education report? All right. We'll move on to number 15. We're going to approve tenure and continuing contract status for eligible teachers. Mrs. Frank?
Attached is a list of teachers and 1 administrator who hold a Tier 3 or Tier 4 license in the state of Minnesota. They have successfully completed the required probationary years, and we are recommending them for a continuing contract status.
All right, can I get a motion to approve this, please? All right, I have a motion and a second. Any comments? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 16, we're going to approve the revised calendar for the 26-27 school year. Mrs. Frank?
There was a tiny error on this calendar when you approved it last time. It calculated an extra day in December. You'll notice that Tuesday, December 1st is a Tuesday, not a Monday, and there were 5 days calculated for that week. So what the calendar committee ended up doing is putting an additional school day in April so that it all equals out to 171 days. So I just ask for your approval on this, please.
All right, can I get a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Are there any comments? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 17, we are going to approve the resolution 070824B for establishing dates for filing affidavits of candidacy. I don't know what you want me to read on that. The dates to file for candidacy for the school board will be July 14th and shall close on July 28th. And this can be filed in this district office with a $2 filing fee paid prior up to 5 o'clock on July 28th. All right, can I get a motion to approve that, please?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
The resolution.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you, Barb. All right, this is a resolution, so we will start with Barb.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
Matt. Myself, yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Missed that one. All right, number 18, we are going to approve the Rickway carpet proposal, option 1. And that is located in your packet. Is there any questions or comments on that?
This is the, this is the carpet for the circle, so it'll be the circle hallway and the exterior rooms.
And we had this in our budget before, so we've approved that budget part of it also. Okay, thank you.
All right, can I get a motion to approve this, please?
I'll move this forward.
Second.
All right, can I get a motion, or I have a motion and a second? Is there any comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 19, we are going to approve the fundraising request. This is on behalf of the Wyndham Golf Team, Paige Pigman. They're going to sell greenies 710 at the local member guest tournament. Athletes from the golf team will sit on hole 4 and sell greenies for $5. Can I get a motion to approve this, please? All right, I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 20. All right, Chad, we are going to talk through the facility inventory and conditions assessment presentation by Kraus Anderson, and we have Chad Pike here to walk us through that.
I just want to test and see if we can hear Travis. Might have to let him join in. I think he's waiting maybe in the waiting room. We'll see if he's still in the waiting room. There he is. Oh. Okay, I think we'll get going here. So I go to a lot of schools, right? And I see a lot of passion, you know, with your principals, and that's really cool because when you go through schools, you can actually see the kids respond to that positively too. And it looks like you guys your stats are like super crazy good. I go to other schools and I don't see those stats, so congratulations. And the fact that you guys are talking about those stats too, it's no different than in our business. We talk about stats and get that kind of passion and excitement about stats and how to make stats real in facilities. And we do have those passions. And we just don't do construction. We actually try to help as much as we can to our districts And one of those ways that we do that is we help the districts manage their assets, right? You have so many assets in all of your buildings. You guys have about 325,000 square feet, right? So with all of that, you have, like boilers and air conditioning type units and flooring, ceilings. Just think of all of the things that you have, right? And somehow all of that stuff has to be maintained. And it has to be maintained in a degree of hey, what's more important? And we have a system that we've made up, and we have Travis on here, Evenson, and he's going to give the presentation. But really what it is, it's on a big spreadsheet at the end of the day, and it helps manage all of your assets by year, by priority. There's all kinds of different categories. We'll jump into it here in a little bit. But I just want to give you just a little snapshot of what we're actually going to be looking at here in a minute. On top of that, it also helps with your 10-year plan or any longer-term planning too. So as just a general note, this is a really good asset management tool for day-to-day, well, I should say month-to-month, and your 10-year plan, which every year you guys have to update your 10-year plan for the state. And all of those items kind of are just packed all into a massive spreadsheet. And so what Travis is going to go through, he's going to go through a PowerPoint, and then he's also going to show you the live version of a spreadsheet and really how it works. Travis, let's see if it works here.
Screen. Can you see the proactive facilities planning?
Yes.
All right. So, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So, good evening, everyone. I will try to, it's been a second since I've done a Google Meet, so I will do my very best to get through this. And I'm going to go through kind of this entire slide deck. Just kind of ask Chad if you have any questions, because I'm not able to see you. And then we can pause and answer any questions you might have. So we're going to review this facility assessment, FCA, just pictures of me and Chad. Discussion today will be centered around the facility condition planning management, the 5-step methodology, kind of creating that strategic plan, that deferred maintenance plan, and keeping that FCA alive. And what we mean by that, the FCA it's in the cloud, so it's not in 3-ring binder, so it's changes can be made, things can be moved around on the spreadsheet once it's put together. So when it's final and put all together, things can be moved around as priorities arise. Just a little history on the company. Since 2001, we've done roughly about 800 of these, 3,000 facilities assessed in total, and about 300 million square feet and growing. Just some of the local cities and towns kind of surrounding Windham that we've done recently within the last couple years. Just to give you an example of some of your neighbors that we've been taking a look at. Why proactive facility planning matters. Really, it's going to really look at your facility degradation and improvements that are needed. It's going to give your facility management your knowledge transfer, and as people retire, move out, this knowledge, this portal stays with the district, and all things that are captured in the portal, from site interviews, from timing of things, from dates, all of that stuff stays with the district in a live version, and it's with training. With anybody new coming in, they'll be brought up to speed rather quickly. And it gives you more of that proactive facility preservation, financial planning, rather than that reactive. So you're going to kind of see the things in the now into the future and things that are going to be coming up on your radar, you know, in terms of roofs, windows, doors, parking lots, etc. So our process. So you get to learn your current status of your facilities. You really see what those needs are, the impacts, by doing things on the front end as opposed. We have inflationary rates on our spreadsheet, so you're able to see everything kind of in the now, what those dollars and cents would look like in terms of replacement or repair cost. So facilities that are not often well documented, need, you know, you get that knowledge, that transfer, that succession for planning, and the need for the dynamic long-term maintenance plan. You also get to make strategic decisions, develop financial models, kind of where those dollars would come from, whether that's LTFM, capital, donations, etc. And it'll really tell you if you should invest in the building, divest in that building, remodel, rebuild, expand, pause. All those things will kind of be told, or that story will be told, and any future growth and any master planning can also come out of this. So our way, and it's a way, the defined status is really roughly what we're in right now, kind of defining, you know, what buildings, what we'd be looking at, cost, all those things are kind of that defined. The collect phase is when we come on site, we go around, we call it stamps, we take pictures of all in inventory, everything in the district from interior construction, roofs, windows, doors, parking lots, athletic complexes, bleachers, etc. After we put all that, get all that information on site done, then we kind of come back. We put all that stuff onto a spreadsheet, and that's when we really start to develop and put cost to it. And those things are spread out based on age, condition, etc. To come up with those costs. Then we collaborate via internally and externally, meeting with the stakeholders, go through the spreadsheet. We do a greatest hits tour, kind of showing what the greatest needs, deferred maintenance needs are over that 10-year period. And then we go to like a 30,000-foot level presentation of the major pieces that the district would be looking at over the next 10 years. Kind of a little deeper dive into everything that define status, which we're kind of in right now. Kind of telling our process, what we do, how we do it. There's some energy efficiency, sustainability pieces that can be part of it. That's strategic facility planning, master planning, identify who the stakeholders are, and kind of identify the timeline from start to finish when the process would be completed. The collect phase is simply that we start out every process with each building. We do something called a site interview. We go in 17 divisions of construction, kind of walking outside the building, up to the building, and then inside the building, up on the roofs. We get all that anecdotal information, timing of things, any pain points in the building, when things are kind of happening, and that is something that stays with the district as well. And then once we're completed with that, we do the digitized findings, we do the walkthrough, we call it stamping. So you would see us taking pictures on our phones. That gives us, we inventory everything, putting dates, taking photos of those things, placards, whatever pieces are on whatever we're taking a look at, whether it be windows or a rooftop or a boiler. The develop phase is when we kind of go back and we start putting those cost estimates, the priorities, kind of define the scope of what we do. Everything's put into present day costs. It also has future day costs with those inflationary rates in there that are currently at 4 points, but those things can fluctuate if there's something that happens, i.e. like COVID, where inflationary rates got a little crazy there for a couple years. They've come back to earth, but right now we're kind of seeing 4% across the board. And then you'll see kind of what a present day cost would be to replace something versus what something 8 years would be with those inflationary marks on them. That step 4 is the collaboration. That's where we kind of discuss with the owner what the remediation would be, the priorities, the costing, making sure it kind of aligns with what the district is seeing, what we're seeing, and that's when things can kind of move on the spreadsheet based on priorities and timing. And if pieces of equipment got, they might be at that 20 or 30-year ASHRAE IFMA rating to when they could time out, but if they're still functioning, just because they're at that timing doesn't mean they need to be replaced, but it does kind of put a flag up in the spreadsheet saying these things are at that due point, so just gets it on the radar that these are pieces that are going to be coming to be fixed or repaired in the near future. And then working with the owner, we use the various levers to bundle projects, put things together, what things could be part of a package, whether it's LTFM or capital or those types of things that are down the road for the how. We kind of find out what the what is with doing this FCA, and then the how would be how do we pay for this? How can we move things around? What things are really a priority and are must-haves to fix? And then we virtually present those findings. And then in the presentation, it's kind of telling the story of the buildings, and really these spreadsheets will tell the story of what the priorities are and are not. Things, your mechanicals, your roofs, your parking lots, your windows, doors, all those things that would time out, but they're still functioning. Those things can be moved around based on priority and what the greatest needs are. And then for the presentation, we do that greatest hits tour, which is going to be that 30,000 foot level of the biggest pieces of deferred maintenance that each building would see. And making the data live, that's what I said at the beginning. This is in the cloud-based. It's not in that 3-ring binder. Things can be printed out, but everything can be interchangeable and dates can be moved. And as things get replaced, they can be updated, just like a roofing section. If it was a 2000 roof and it was replaced in 26, you can simply change the year to 26. That that roof section stays in. It just moves out that 20 or 30 years, depending on what type of roof it is. Jumping in kind of, what we really look at once we are looking at everything and how everything's measured out. We do something, here's that IFMA standard and also ASHRAE. It's basically what's the average lifespan in the Midwest of said thing, i.e. like a rooftop unit. The average life expectancy of those is 20 years. Doesn't mean they can't go to 30, but those are things that would come up at that 20-year mark for a replacement, but doesn't mean they can't be moved down the road if they're still functioning and working. What you're kind of seeing on this is the FCI. It's the Facility Condition Index, and that's basically the deferred maintenance of that building versus the replacement of a said building over a 10-year period, and it'll score it out all the way down on the lower right, excellent, to all the way on the left in that crimson color to critical. Most buildings that we walk through, 20, 30, 40, even 50-year-old buildings, 60-year-old buildings are sitting in that fair category. And what I always tell folks is you always want that pendulum swinging down, and usually the biggest pieces are going to be your roofs, your parking lots, and your HVAC systems. truly what the FCA does, it really lets you know what the status of your building is. We collect all those things, we give you photos, really piece things together, give you that FCI rating, and kind of gives you a score of what that building is, and where you're at. And it's not reflective on the district or maintenance personnel or anything like that. It's just this is where the building is at, and this is, you know, with these things, that FCI score, it can be reduced by doing X, Y, and Z. So tracking the assessments and the strategic facility planning just brings in informed high level of your FCA condition, and it's led by and guided by Kraus Anderson personnel. At the very end, I'll go through all this. At first, I'll give you just a little demo of kind of what that spreadsheet looks like, and show you kind of the filters, very high level, but just show you how you can filter by building, by condition, and all those sorts of things. This is a sample on the right here of what the portal would look like for your district. You would have these 4 buttons. They're all interactive. You're going to have plans. We do drawings, takeoffs, so the district will have square footage of parking lots, of roof sections at their fingertips. If they need to get a quote on a parking lot for a mill and overlay, they would have that square footage of that parking lot to call contractor A, B, or C, and to get a number relatively quickly. All things that are given, that executive report is that greatest hits tour. Digitized site report is more for reference than reading. These are all the stamps. It's prints out I shouldn't say print, puts it into the cloud, somewhere between a 2,000 to 4,000 page report that can be reviewed and shows where these stamps were, what the picture is, what we were looking at, what the condition, all those things are in that digitized site report. These things can also be found on the the dashboard, which is this spreadsheet. There's clickable links that can also show you the pictures a lot easier than navigating the digitized site report, but the digitized site report does come with it. It gives you that FCI score per building, all the site interview information, all the meetings, and all the agendas. Also, in addition to this, once we do this process, we give a training on how to use the tool, how to make changes. The beauty of this thing gets saved like probably 200 times a day, so you really can't break it. We can just go back to a version prior to when something could have happened. It doesn't happen very often, but if something does go awry, we're able to go in and right the wrong and make it right again. This is just kind of a snip of what the spreadsheet is. It goes across the building. These blue numbers are those clickable links that you can click into it and look at it. And once I bring up the spreadsheet, it'll be a little bigger and a little easier to see, and it'll make a little more sense.
Travis, can we just go right to the spreadsheet so we can just show them, because it's kind of small on the monitor?
Yeah, I will, Chad. I want to go through this first, just with because I'll go through this real quick. I got 2 slides left, and then I'll jump into the spreadsheet. This is just a sample of some of the different charts and graphs and pie charts, and the lower right is your FCI score. It'll score out each building individually, and it'll show the deferred maintenance dollars per each building, the square footage, the year of the building. But it'll give you a bunch of charts and graphs and show you, where your biggest dollar amounts and all that is going to be spent. So just to wrap up this portion for this PowerPoint, keeping that FCA alive, you're able to update your plan as things happen or projects are completed. You can change the dates and conditions, and those line items stay. They just move across the board 20 or 30 years. The inflationary rates are in there, and those can be changed if things if they go up or if they are reduced. We're able to change those as well. You're able to bundle any projects or do multiple things. And at the very end of this, what oftentimes happens when things are at that 20, 30 year, a lot of things are going to fall into that first couple years, which is not realistic in the school world based on budgets and LTFM budgets. That's when we can go in and realign with the district and go through kind of line item by line item and move things around, that even though they're at 20 or 30 years or past that, they're still functioning, working, and we can move those around. So it's a little more balanced approach. All right, now
While Travis gets that up and running here, he's going to go to a live version now, and all it is, it shows like the spreadsheet and all of that. But another good reason for this, I know that just to kind of keep it a little bit more direct to Wyndham, Doug's retiring at some point, and he's got a lot of institutional knowledge about the campus, about what's been done over the years. And so before that walks out the door, right, you really want to try and capture that. And through this spreadsheet that we'll show you is we'll spend a lot of time with Doug to understand every unit that we can of some sort of lifespan of when it was put in, how's it been maintained, et cetera, et cetera. And what that does, it gets it on the spreadsheet. And when you're actually doing the finances, I think Holly's going to appreciate this, that when you do the finances, you can sit down very easily and have that conversation about facility needs over time without Doug there eventually, right? So it kind of transfers some of that knowledge into a spreadsheet and helps everybody else make decisions going forward, and especially when you start prioritizing what type of dollars do you want to spend for your LTFM. How's it coming, Travis?
I am getting there, I think. Are you just seeing a black screen right now?
Yeah. Somewhat.
All right. Let me try this a different way.
Does anybody have any questions so far on this for Chad or Travis? The Buildings and Ground Committee did get to sit through this, so we have all of our questions answered. So then we kind of voted it through to be presented here at the board for the full board to take a look at it.
Travis, you did have it up at one point. There we go.
I can't move it though. That's my problem. Let me try this way.
While Travis is trying that, the cost on it is $22,900, which is, it's basically labor to do it. People walking around putting everything in the data, the huge spreadsheet. That spreadsheet that you actually did see, we'll see if we can get it up. But if we don't, we can show you a different way some other time. But really what it is, it's a spreadsheet with columns. And every column, there's some data in it. And every one, it might break it up by school in one column. Next column, it'll break it up into like the actual location. The other one will be what type of equipment is it. It could be something, on your track field. It could be something on your roof or HVAC. All of those things are all trackable, sortable. And so let's just say if you were trying to figure out, hey, what roofing things do I have to do in the next 5 years? You could track just roofing and then, get it down just to roofing, and then it would bring up all your roofing. Then you could sort it by date, and it would bring all that up very easily.
Was this just for the 3 buildings then, like we
For the 3
discussed?
Yep,
Okay.
it's
We're
for the Highlands, Wyndham High School, middle school, and elementary.
Yes,
Now,
okay.
we do know the elementary is new, but we might as well get it on the list. It does, the cost of just doing the elementary is not that much. So we had that debate, and it's like, well, let's get it on the list, so then we have one system with everything all encompassed on this big spreadsheet.
So on the spreadsheet, will it let us know, like, okay, in what year, like, you'll organize, like, okay, the roof was redone, or this section of the roof was done on this time, and this time was this section?
Yep.
Because we usually do sections, so will that be updated, like, on that roof per this?
By section, yes, by date, absolutely. So then, let's just say you do the work this year, right? And you get a, let's say 20-year warranty. We just put it in there, 20-year warranty, and then in 20 years, that same roof will start coming up. And then you can reevaluate if it has more lifespan at that 20 years.
But if we did something in 2017, you'll have that record
Yes.
attached with it.
Yep, yep,
So our history.
your history, yep.
Thank you.
And that's really where you want to get to, is know that history. So then when people do move on, you're not losing that institutional knowledge. And when people do come on, they can actually go and look and, oh, here's a document that we can actually look at, and it's more of a training tool for them too. Travis, how's it coming?
This, I won't be able to go for the dollars and cents, but I
Okay.
can kind of go through the first parts of it. So, and I'm not able to filter this for whatever reason, I'm not sure. It's kind of weird that way, but on the left here, all the buildings, and you can sort by building, just hitting this button, it would click on it, and you could just pick the high school. These digitized site report items, these are those numbers where you can click on it. It'll take like 20 seconds, and then the pictures, the item, the asset types will pop up and show you what it is. The area of work, these are the 17 divisions of construction. Again, you can look, these are exterior enclosures, which would be windows, doors, your brick facades, things of that nature. Everything in that bucket. The location is just where our plan on our software set. This is asset type. This is where we get the construction in today's dollars, kind of where things are going. So we're able to look it up in real time cost. Description is what basically just that. It's going to tell you, door to, and then across the list, it's going to give you a replace or a repair. The next, you can't see it, and I apologize. It's just not going across for me. The next, it's going to be your condition, criticality, and then it's going to finally come out to your year, and then it's going to be expected years of service on that, which is going to time it out to wherever it goes, 27, 35, 2042, what have you. And then it's going to get into the quantity, the unit cost, and then it's going to give you a hard cost, a soft cost added to that, which would be more project related, and then an overall cost. So you can use those hard costs for anything that you would just be getting quotes for, because those wouldn't be any soft costs associated with it. And then way to the right, you're going to see it go out 10 years, and you can see what it would be in like 27 versus like 2035 with the inflationary rates. And then on the bottom, you'll see all these things. These are all the SCI score, annual costs, which would give you charts and graphs, all those things. Most of those charts and graphs are in the PowerPoint.
Thanks, Travis. It's still, we're not seeing it move, but I think we somewhat get or understand it. I would say the biggest thing is that when we actually get the entire spreadsheet built out, we might see like a lot of costs in the first like 3 years. And then we actually do focus on those 3 years and decide, okay, does that really need to be done like right now? Or can we wait until, I think, what is it, in 2031, 2032, I think your LTFM that you borrowed against comes off. So we might start looking at how do we strategize and what's most important for those next years to get some of those things done. That's what this tool does, just helps you plan better. Yep. And I think the reason why it's frozen, I think it's an interaction between Google and not like Excel. And that's what all this really is. It's a big Excel spreadsheet. So just to kind of clarify that.
In my Excel spreadsheet, I wish I could be there to plug in, but yeah, virtually the biggest takeaway from that spreadsheet, everything's filterable. It looks like a lot, and really, it's basically a spreadsheet on steroids, but everything's filterable. You can filter it to what you're looking at. If you want to look at those roof sections, we do it by parapet walls, so they would, if you have a roofing contractor, we would go through and align our roofing naming mechanisms would be aligned with what those are. If not, we can align them to roof 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or roof A, B, C, whichever naming mechanism works. And those would be filterable as well to look at your dates and timing of when roofing needs would be coming up.
All right. Any other questions?
I've been thinking about this since you presented it, and I don't know yet which way is the best way. Doug is good. He does it, but he also has in his file cabinet, he's well organized. That's what makes him look good too.
Yeah.
When you've got all the, when it was put in and when it was done. And the big thing I see about this, but knowing when it is, you got a general idea, but just to bundle, I'm thinking about, because there's some big stuff that is going to have to be done by 2030. And just because of the age that it's going to be in that period of time. We talked about it before that every 30 years you should be thinking of a remodel of some kind. And that's going to be roofs in here. So it's a way of bundling it, for, a referendum. Because when you start looking at the numbers, it's not going to be able to come out of just the capital fund when we start going on some of these as they come through. We were lucky there at 2020 that all the COVID money that we had, we were going to just do the rooftop units as they went out. Well, there was enough between the different things. Everything got done. The 7 units got done. So now we know we started with 1 again on them. So we know that that's going to be there. But it's another way of doing strategic facility planning there. Yeah, I'm still not, we can see things when they break down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's got to be fixed now.
Yeah.
Well, that's whether it's this year or in 3 years. That won't help us except that it tells us how much it's going to cost. That's where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm. Pre-planning's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about after we reviewed it, of course I love Excel, so I was geeking out on it, but then I was thinking when we were getting ready for the most recent, when we went to the voters, and the first no, and then we're like, okay, we had 11 variables, and trying to figure that out, okay, what if we move this, and this is the baseball, and this is, okay, we could say 5,000, now what if we move stand, it was impossible with just 11 variables. Well, when we look at 3 buildings, we have 46,000 variables, and so we couldn't, even with Doug's experience, just remembering okay, if that's 3 million, well, if we put that in there, that's another 250,000. So this just gives us a way of Jamie can sit at her desk and be like, well, let me play. Okay, well, there's plan A. Oh, there's plan B. Oh, there's plan C. I can't forget about that. So when you were presenting this, I thought the cost was going to be higher, for engineering fees and things for 22,000. I think this is a pretty solid investment, and I think it's a really good idea.
I agree.
this is just given a plan that this could happen, these are the expected lifetimes of vehicles. Can we adjust it to, so that as far as how specific we want to be?
It's really, really detailed. Most people don't want to look at it in that detail. We'll bring it up to a different level, especially when we get into, let's just say, planning. We'll pull this out and go through every detail, and then pretty much what you're saying, Joel, is we'll start chunking it into, like, okay, these are the most important, and we have different priorities, different ways to look at things. Like what Travis said, there's so many ways to look at data just by filtering, and we'll do that so many different ways. Then pretty soon you start seeing some patterns, and then everything kind of starts making more sense. And then what it's also nice is that then you can take that data and say, hey, we do have data, and we can show the public and explain actually in minute detail. If somebody really wanted to ask questions, we could hammer down all the way to exactly what he was asking for. So data is the king, just like what your principals and teachers and they're all doing. Same thing in facilities.
I think that's what I'm kind of thinking about, the data to present to people. Joel can have fun with changing things on the 46,000 things and see what things go, but the people want to know the bottom line.
Yeah.
What is it going to cost us?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a referendum at some point.
Yeah. And it may not, it could be this referendum and it may be the next referendum. You can keep using this spreadsheet. You just got to keep it up. And it's a very, very powerful tool. Just got to keep up on it and embrace it.
How often would you, I guess that brings up, how often would you recommend to revisit?
With us, you could do it yearly. You could go, I think if you guys get real good at it, you really don't need us to help you. But I would say over the first couple of years, there'd be a lot of interaction back and forth, maybe. Ali's probably way better than what I'm giving her credit for. So, but honestly, sometimes you do have to, let's just say if there was some changes and we weren't involved in the changes, kind of like the track or something. We wouldn't probably want to sit down and say, okay, let's get all this stuff updated. But it's a minimal fee. It's like a T&M thing. So, shouldn't be a big deal.
That's correct. So to answer that question a little bit on the renewal process, so obviously doing this now, it would come out with the 27 through 2036 date. And this price would be good for that 2 years, probably get you a renewal for the next year. Moving forward, moving after that, you could do it every 2 years, and what that does, it changes that first year. Doesn't things don't get lost in the shuffle, but 27 would turn to 28 or 29 for your starting date, and things would be moved down, and all that data would just be refreshed, and those dates would be retro to if we're sitting in 2027, things would be moved to 2028. So you're looking at it for like that next year. And so the plan is kind of somewhat in sync with what the time of, where you're at in terms of dates and times.
All right.
All right, are there any other questions? All right, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are going to go on to number 21. We're going to declare old social studies curriculum and textbook as surplus. So with the adoption of the new social studies curriculum, the old textbooks will be declared surplus at little to no value. Can I get a motion to put this through, please?
Move approval. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 22, we are going to approve the Minnesota State High School League membership resolution. This is just the annual renewal of our membership to the Minnesota State High School League. Can I get a motion, please? All right, I have a motion and a second. This is a resolution, so we will start with Barb.
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Bruce? Matt? Myself, yes. Motion passes. Number 23, we are going to approve the date to perform the superintendent evaluation. So you guys should have already received an email asking you to complete the individual evaluation form. I will compile that and then present the information in a closed session to the superintendent. The meeting following the closed session does require a summary of the evaluation to be released, which we will do. So the proposed timeline is to complete the evaluation form by June 26th. We will have closed session for the evaluation results on July 13th, and then we will present an evaluation summary on July 27th. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll move this forward.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 24, we're going to call for quotes on the milk and dairy products. Mrs. Anderson.
This happens annually, and I'm just asking your approval for us to go out and call for milk and dairy products to stay compliant with any regulations we have with the state and MDE. So the documents that we'd send out to any vendor is attached in your board packet. If you have questions, please let me know.
All right, thank you, Holly. Can I get a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
Right, I have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 25, we are going to approve the fiscal year 2027 preliminary budget. Mrs. Anderson.
No changes were done in regards to the preliminary budget, so the long conversation that I gave you last board meeting explaining everything stays the same. If you have questions since then, please let me know. Otherwise, this is just for approval.
All right, can I get a motion, please? All right, I have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 26, we are going to approve the workers' compensation insurance with SFM for fiscal year 2027 beginning July 1st of 2026. Mrs. Anderson.
Again, just another annual thing. I met with our insurance agent, Patrick. I'm not going to try his last name. So sorry. For our insurance renewal starting July 1st to June 30th, 2027, our work comp actually was very favorable this year. Even though we had an increase to our premium, the percentage, our groupings actually went down. So we have two different groups, professional level and then like the more high risk category, like our food service custodians working with chemicals, knives, and that kind of stuff. But those payroll costs get classified for the experience modification factor, which is in the memo. I'll use the actual term. So although our premium increased, those rates went down, and they also include our projected daycare costs that we're looking at. So, you know, it kind of all balances out, and our premium only increased 3.19%. So at this time, I'm just asking you to approve so we can sign off for our work comp policy. If you have questions, please let me know.
All right, can I get a motion, please?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 27, we are going to approve the CY 2025 forfeited flexible spending account dollars of $148.32. Mrs. Anderson, you're up again.
Another annual thing. I guess I should say annual, as long as there are dollars out there that our employees didn't get reimbursed for the medical or dependent care for their FSAs. They have until March 31st of each year to submit for the prior calendar year, so January 1st to December 31st. And if they fail to do so, we have to forfeit and do a journal entry clearing out that budget or balance sheet account. So this is just asking for approval and grace.
All right, can I get a motion for this, please? All right, I have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 28, is there any additional items for the board? I think we're done. So I just wanted to do a shout out to, I know everybody did it, but to our state track participants last week. Great job. You did Wyndham proud. For our upcoming baseball team, win or lose, you have made the Wyndham School District proud, and you've made the community proud. So hold your head high no matter what the outcome, but we are all hoping to watch you play on Monday. So, all right, that's all I got. Thank you. This meeting's adjourned.